Hume football and an exciting time of the year heading towards finals. Not so exciting for the program organisers, and Phil Bouffler, the Vice President, plenty of phone calls again this week sorting things. He joins us now though. G'day Phil, how are you?
I'm well, thank you, Wayne. I'm just sitting up at the top of my driveway getting a bit of reception and look at my canola paddock going on quite nicely.
Oh, did you get some sunshine at last in your part of the world?
It's sunny. The snow's gone, the hail's gone, rain's settled down a bit, so it's wet as billy-o. But we've had a couple of days of sun, so hopefully we can get a few weeks of sun to get those crops, to get a bit of life back in the crops.
Yeah, certainly would be good. Bit of life back in the competition in round 14 action. It was a big win by Holbrook in tough conditions up there at 14-8, 92 to 2-4-16 from How Long Spiders. I guess you'd have to say that is a big win in what would be very wet conditions.
Wasn't a good game really. Like, it was wet. I was at the Gindera game and it was just wet. It started raining about half time and it was just a cold, miserable, rainy, windy day. So, often sometimes they can blow out those scores a bit, but it was a pretty poor effort really by How Long.
Very poor effort, but you speak about Gindera, and they won 6-11-47 to Henty 3-5-23. They're just getting it together at the right end of the season, and if you mathematically look at it, still an outside chance of making the finals.
They can, Wayne. That's very interesting. They could get back in. I was at that game and they played very well. Was up and down a bit. Henty looked like they might have got away, but they credit Gindera played very well.
They did. I reckon Galvin's been the difference. Another couple of goals in tough conditions. He kicks them. Lawrence playing great football for him. It was McCready, Muller and Ellis, the local lads, going pretty well at Henty. But they'd be disappointed. The Swampies got swamped in a Gindera wet game. It was Lockhart 7-14-56 against Culcan 8-7-55 in what turned out to be the match of the round and kept Lockhart's season alive.
Mate, they sort of got away. Culcan were in front a little bit at half time, and I thought, here we go, because I was at the game and I thought, if Lockhart win this, with Henty losing, that'll sort of tighten up the midfield again. But they just snuck home, wasn't brilliant kicking, 7-14 or whatever they kicked, but a win's a win, so they get the 4 points, so it was a good win to Lockhart in the end.
Yeah, this lad, he really starred, kicked 4 goals, and again, Phillips and Jones, he's been up in their better players too, Phillips, in the last few weeks. Retallick with 3, and Gould, Wall and Noble were also named as good players on the Culcan side. Osborne got the forfeit, 20 goals to 0 from the Billabong Crows, and this one was interesting because CDHBU came to play, and they bought, a few old fellas came out of retirement, and father and sons and all sorts of things were going on in the reserve grade, but in the seniors, 7-10-52 to 6-9-45 over the Murray Magpies, and that is a very good 4 points.
It's a great 4 points to the CDHBU. They really suffered from that with the bubble, not the bubble, the board of Victorians unable to come into New South Wales. They were the club that suffered the most. So for them to get a side together, and it also affected the Magpies. So I couldn't just say how proud the whole league is of these two clubs just having this game and getting it going in that. It was just a fantastic effort. And, it was a pity someone had to lose on the day to be feeding about it, Wayne, because it was just a great effort by both clubs. Murray Magpies nearly got their first win, but CDHBU, they've cemented their spot in the top 4, and I pretty much reckon they're a dead cert for the finals now after that weekend.
Oh, they certainly are. It's a great performance. Mills and O'Rourke booted a couple for them, and Phipps and Anderson and Cushett were the better players, and Williams with 3 for the Murray Magpies, and Jones was their best player. I'll note in the reserves that Lewis kicked 9 goals in a win for CDHBU, and his relatives are the father and son there, so congratulations to the Lewis family there in that particular game, the reserve grade, the big win by the CDHBU over the Magpies. And finally, it was Ramwell-Bundry Waller 11-9-75 to 6-8-44. And Phil, last week you said there's a bit of a chance here because you're a bit worried about the Brocklesby, the Burren-Buttock side, maybe missing a couple of their key players out of the game, and they certainly suffered from it and went down in the end.
Yeah, there's a couple of incidents come out of this game, but they were sorted out. So, well done to the Giants. They got up. They missed Cedar. When he was playing well, he gets him going out of the centre, and he's going to be a big loss for him. So, I'm not sure what's going to happen to the BB Saints. But Ramwell-Bundry, they just trundle on. They're going to be minus their coach for a few weeks. But anyway, that's another story.
Now, I tell you what, Ramwell Waller with 5 from Bruce and Wardius with 3 and Merkel a couple. Bruce Holman, D. Learski with the better players and Garland with a couple. The two Kazitsky boys were named along with Luff and Weaven, but gee, the Saints have dropped that. Boy, the boys from the Giants now are in really good shape to make the finals and put a lot of pressure back on the Brocklesby Burrumbuttock Saints to now have to win their place in the top 6. Well, winning your place in the top 6 and getting another round going of football hasn't been easy for the organisers this week. And Phil, we have got a round of football, but we got a couple of changes of games because the governments have changed who's in the border bubble, and the Lockout Council has fallen out of the border bubble, which has put some real pressure on where the game was going to be played this weekend.
It's turned into a year of snakes and ladders, this one. You sort of go up a couple of rungs and you fall down one. So the Victorian government's decided that the 4 shires that were previously in the border bubble have been excluded. So we've lost Jerilderie Shire, or the Murrumbidgee Shire, Hay, Lockhart and Wagga. So the problem for the Hume League is that 2 of the clubs, Lockhart and Osborne, who were previously in the bubble, are no longer in the bubble. So that means that while the Victorian players can now travel into New South Wales to play football, they can only play within the bubble. So now that Lockhart and Osborne are outside the bubble, they can't play home games. So Osborne were playing away this week, so that won't affect them. But the next home game it will. But unfortunately for Lockhart, they've got 3 or 4 home games in a row, which they won't be able to play at Lockhart because they're outside this blessed bubble. So the Lockhart Magpies games have been transferred to Walbundry.
Yeah, and it's a tough one because all that new facility that they had given their home games away at the start of the year to get them back at the end of the year is certainly very disappointing for them. They play the Murray Magpies at Walbundry. They should win comfortably there, and that should shore up a position in the top 6.
Yeah, they've got a bit of a logjam there in the middle there with the BB Saints, Lockhart and Henty. So, we just hope for the next couple of weeks that'll sort itself out a little bit. They're all on even points. You'd think Lockhart would have to win this, really. I mean, everything's in their favour. They're playing pretty good football. The Magpies have certainly been playing well as well, but I'd expect Lockhart to win that.
I reckon so. CDHBU at home against Gindera with their Victorian contingent back at the Power. This is the match of the round. Gindera really showing what they've got. If they could win this match away, they'd keep their finals hopes alive. It may be that the Doggies' run is done.
Mate, I reckon that Power will get up here. The coach is in the paper yesterday saying, by just a bit of good luck, really, they've just, breasted some of their players who weren't able to play, and they've been fresh, so they've freshened up a bit, and they'll be fit as fiddles, and they'll want to win this game easily. So, it was a pretty big slog down at Gindera. It was pretty wet down there, so I would have taken a bit out of the Gindera Bulldogs, but I think the Power of CDHBU will get up here.
Well, I tell you what, the match between Henty and Calcan, 2 old rivals there along the Olympic way. Oh, this is going to be a beauty at the Swamp. It'll be wet. But I'll tell you what, Henty are going to have to play their best football, and they need to if they want to keep their final 6 chances. And I think they'll beat Calcan.
They'll get a few back, Wayne. They were affected by this Victorian players coming to New South Wales. They do a few players out of that, so I'm not sure about Colcan whether they had any involved, but Henty was sort of affected by that. So they'll get players back at home. They need to win, really. So, form would suggest that they'd probably get up. And Colcan was stiff last week, lose by a point, so they'll fancy their chances. This will be a close game, this.
Certainly will be. Holbrook play Ramwell Waller. This is going to be up at Holbrook. Another home deck for the Brookers. I reckon this is right down to the wire. This could go either way. Ramwell Waller, after last week with the coach, that they're going to be struggling with that, and I think Holbrook might get home here.
I think they should. Holbrook should probably win this game. I think they've only lost the 1 game for the year, so this will be interesting to see how they've progressed. I haven't seen them play for a while, but I think this will be a good game. The Giants, they've been playing pretty well, but this is a big test for them. So really the big test is, Holbrook and Osborne. So this will be a huge test. If they win this game, they'll be a force to be reckoned with in the finals. But if Holbrook win, good luck to them. I think they'll be pretty good.
They certainly are good at the moment. Osborne pretty good at the top of the table. Should beat Howlong down at the River.
Yeah, I think so, Wayne. Howlong are very disappointed. They'll be disappointed with last week's effort. Their ground is a fantastic facilities and that down there, so that'll be in good nick. But you'd think Osborne would have to win that.
Yeah, and the Billabong Crows at Oakland's their final game down at that ground this year. They take on the Brock Burrum Saints. The Saints have got something to play for here. Think they should be too good for the Billabong Crows.
Crows have had a week off. They've had a fair few injuries and that, so I'm not sure whether they've got a few back or anything. But BB Saints, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether Sedgwick's playing. He was spent a night in hospital last weekend, so I'm not sure whether he'll be playing. But if he's not playing and Cedar's out, that'll be a huge loss. So there could be a slight chance that the Crows could get up here.
Ooh, just a slight one. I'll tell you what, they've got a young player playing his first senior game in Drew Brenderzik, and good luck to him. In a moment, we're going to actually chat to his dad, Ben, who has been a guest here on the Friday night sports show. Great to have you on board, Phil. Thanks again for your commentary around Hume football. You have a great weekend.
No worries. Thanks, Wayne.
And continuing Hume football, as we mentioned there a bit earlier, that we're going to catch up with Ben Brenderzik, one of our correspondents for Hume. His son, Drew, plays his first senior first grade match in the Hume Football League for the Billabong Crows. So we get the chemist back on the line for us. G'day there, Ben. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, Wayne. I hope everyone else is well and safe. Yeah, no, it's an exciting day for the boy tomorrow, yeah.
And as a dad, it's wonderful to see your kids progress, but he's a young fellow, and to get selected in the Billabong Crows senior side is a great achievement.
It is. Listen, we're struggling with a few injuries at the moment, so we're not going to sort of blow him up too much. But he's been playing some good footy in the 17s, and he's played a bit of good footy in the 2s, so they want to have a look at him in the seniors. And so, he's very excited, and all of his mates from school who come out and play footy with us too are likewise. So, it'll be good. The whole family will come out and get around him tomorrow. So, it's very exciting.
And I know that Brock Burham is the opposing side. I think there's some relatives on the other side of the fence. Yeah,
there is. My cousin's son, Mason Hamilton, is playing for Brock Burham tomorrow. So, he's a couple of years older than Drew. They know each other pretty well. So, they might go over and have a little bit of a tussle with each other during the day, but it's all fun and games. And I suppose country footy, these things do happen occasionally. We families spread across the area, so it'll be an exciting day for all of us.
And of course, getting back on the field too after last week not being playing against the Osborne side, the Billabong Crows caught up in the Victorian players not being able to cross. Has that affected the morale around the place? Was training pretty good this week again?
Yeah, it was better than what we thought. Tuesday night was pretty good. Thursday night was better than what we thought. Yeah, it's really frustrating. You've got there's two families who've actually moved from Mulwala, which is on the New South Wales side, over to Yarrawonga, which is on the Victorian side, and that's sort of, we have a lot of people that live in either Wodonga or in Rutherglen or in Yarrawonga, and that sort of, it's really frustrating when they want to play, we want to play, but if we played last week, it would have been, we were probably going to get belted anyway, but it would have been even worse than that, and that wouldn't have done anybody any good. So, we've just got too many missing with numbers and with injuries too. So, thankfully, things have changed, and the guys are real excited to get back out there on the park at Oaklands tomorrow and hopefully put in a reasonable performance.
Good stuff. Well, good to have you back on board, Ben, and look forward to hearing how Drew goes in his first grade game in Hume football. You have a great weekend celebrating it.
Wayne, thanks very much, mate. Cheers.